Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Renewables podcast. So if you're watching this, you'll see that I'm not in my OVA Renewables colours. I'm in the Doncaster Cables colours because we are live at Solar Storage Live in Birmingham NEC, and I'm actually working on the Doncaster Cable Stand showcasing PV Ultra. But before we get into a bit of a show rundown, let's have a little word from me and Mark about our sponsor Proteus.
Just to interject today's show, we want to speak to you about another awesome product from Proteus, and that is the Type B RCBO that they've just brought out, Sam. We saw that in person on the podcast we did with Proteus, and again, it's helping us as installers, isn't it?
Oh, it's unbelievable how they have managed to engineer it to fit it all within a single module. I remember fitting the ones that are about 3 or 4 modules wide. How they've managed to engineer that into one module is an absolute... I don't know how they've done it, but it's fantastic that they have.
They have, and it's bi-directional as well. So again, thinking of us as installers for those PV and EV systems. And that is why we are so proud and honoured to be sponsored by Proteus on the Renewables podcast. But let's get back to the show.
So that is us all sponsored up. So yeah, I'm working on the stand with the guys at Doncaster Cables, and we're showcasing PV Ultra, which is basically changing the way that DC cables are installed on properties between the panels and the inverter. The way that these things have changed, the way that the DC cabling has been installed on solar PV systems hasn't changed for basically since solar has been installed in the UK or in the world really until now, which is PV Ultra. So PV Ultra is basically incorporating all those 2 or 4 DC cables into one cable, so you're just clipping that cable up the wall like an armoured cable using cleats or whatever else. So that's what we're showcasing here today, as well as Earth Show, which the Doncaster Cables have released recently, which has the pre-insulated or pre-marked CPC conductor in their twin and earth cables. But there's so many different products out there, and it's been really cool chatting to everybody about all the offering that Doncaster Cables has. But the aim of today's show, a bit like we did with the installer show, is to have a little run around and chat to a few installers, chat to a few manufacturers, and see what we find in this show. This show is bigger than ever, the Solar Storage Live show. It's bigger than ever. I was at an awards show last night and got in at about 2:30 this morning, so if I look, for anyone watching on YouTube, a little bit bleary-eyed, then that'll be the reason why. But otherwise, we're going to try and have some good conversations with everybody in and around the show and see what we can find out. I'm going to chat to these guys next to me here about some torque settings on some solar PV and all the rest of it. So yeah, let's get into the Renewables podcast and see what we find. Mark is around here somewhere as well, so we'll see if we can bump into him again. But yeah, let's get started.
So I'm with George from GivEnery, and he's been good enough to offer to run through some of the new products. Before we get to all that, George, how are you?
I'm knackered, Mark, but I'm very, very excited to be here. How are you?
I'm really good. It's an absolutely huge show, isn't it? I mean, you look like you're absolutely rammed on the stand today.
It's been mental. We're here all 3 days, and it's been really busy. We've had some very great conversations with people. It's always nice to come back. We love coming to Solar Storage. It's our baby. You know what I mean? It's a home from home for us. So.
And I see you'll have seen the growth as well, because I remember coming a few years ago and it was nothing like this size.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
Enormous.
Ridiculous.
But I mean, looking at the equipment we've got on the wall here, this is the focus of the show, isn't it? You showcasing this, and there's some exciting additions I've spied as I've been wandering around on this side of the stand.
Exactly. Yep. So one of the biggest bits of feedback we get with all of our products is that the output's not good enough. The inverters can't handle enough kilowatt, coming in. This is our answer to that. This is our 10 kilowatt hybrid inverter. This is the biggest single phase domestic hybrid inverter we've ever done.
Wow.
You get 10 kilowatts input of this, and then 15 kilowatt in terms of having solar being able to come into it too. And then that comes with our stackable batteries. So these are high voltage, and this goes up to just over 20 kilowatt hours worth of storage as well.
So you're looking at that, I'm familiar with that from the 3-phase side of things.
Exactly.
So this is a whole new level for a domestic scaled system, isn't it? 10 kilowatt inverter, massive battery stack, absolute game changer. How many MPPTs does that have?
This has two standard, just like the other ones,
okay.
But you can have more input into it in terms of the amount of solar that you're actually kind of getting in voltage-wise.
Yeah.
This has more.
Okay, yeah, I can see that on the side note there, so that's really, really good. So it's giving us the option there as installers. And these battery stacks, can they be kind of linked together? Is there?
They can, yes. So you can daisy chain up to 3 of these at the moment. And then we're working on more as well. But 3, to be honest with you, in a single domestic setting, that's 60, over 60 kilowatt hours worth of storage.
It's a big house, isn't it?
Exactly.
To go to that stage.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see some other new batteries just down there as well that your guys are busy talking about. And I've seen you actually on LinkedIn doing a little video of the launching. That was really good, by the way, mate.
Oh,
really good
very
video.
much. Appreciate that. So we've got our 3rd generation batteries coming through. So we've got the 9.5 just over here. And then, we might be able to. That's perfect timing. Look at this.
It's almost like we planned it.
This is perfect. So this is the 9.5 kilowatt hour. So just like the Gen 2 before, this is just a newer model for that.
Look at the size of it, though. That's got to be lighter. That's the thing I'm thinking as installer. Please tell me it's lighter.
It's 30% lighter in terms of the size too. So
that's a game changer for us, because that's obviously the big thing that we deal with out on site. It's moving all this gear around, as brilliant as it is, and that's why we love the all-in-one with the modular cases, and the fact that that's now a bit lighter.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Also smaller for fitting in the spaces that maybe more confined.
All round, yeah.
So I guess that's just through technological evolution of the cells inside it.
Exactly, yeah. We've managed to compact the cells so that you still get the same great product, you still get the same depth of discharge, but everything's just a lot smaller. Simple as that.
So it all integrates in exactly the same way as before.
Exactly.
Wonderful. And there's a smaller little brother or sister.
So the little brother or sister, that's our 5.12 kilowatt hour battery. That replaces the 5.2 that we used to have.
Yep.
The 5.2 was 80% depth of discharge, whereas this is 100%. So although technically it's a lower spec, you're getting more bang for your buck in terms of the usable storage.
Yeah. So that's just a change in mindset, isn't it? That it's just the same, slightly more powerful, even though it is a smaller capacity.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it, George. The range of stuff that you guys are putting onto the market at the minute.
Yeah.
Full credit to you. I know there's some other exciting things that we can't talk about today that are coming soon as well. So
Exactly.
you're always pushing the boundaries.
We'll have to
and other people copy and catch up. So fair play.
That's what we do. That's what we do. We'll come back. We'll talk about the exciting things soon, definitely.
Yeah, we need to get you guys on the podcast with myself and Sam in studio, and we can have a proper conversation. But I know you're very busy today, so thank you for sparing 5 minutes to have a chat with me. We'll move on and see what the rest of the show is, and George can carry on with his busy day.
Thank you, Mark. Cheers.
Cheers, George.
Bye-bye.
So I'm Andy, I'm the technical manager for Alpha ESS in the UK.
Yeah, we're on the Alpha stand, and I've collared Andy here because we've been working together for quite a while, haven't we, on lots of different things. And I just wanted to put on this podcast the new product offering from Alpha, just to show you really, because we've used a lot of the Smile 5 system, but it's all developed now, isn't it, a little bit further?
Yeah. We've just introduced the G3 range of inverters. We've got a 3.68 version and a 5 kilowatt version, 200% PV, a couple of different battery options you can use on there. And we've just launched at the show today. We've got the Smile G3 car charger, 7 kilowatt car charger. It's got all the smart functions where you can soak up the excess PV and charge the car. And it all integrates into the same Alpha ESS app and splits out the car charger on the load as well. So it's a real user-friendly function and a nice add-on sale to the Alpha ESS systems.
It's really good. And what I'll do is I'll spin the camera around for anyone watching this on YouTube. But if you're listening, then we'll try and give you a bit of an audio run through as well as to what the Alpha looks like and all the features. But it's really interesting to see, walking around this show, how many companies are bringing out their full ecosystem. Because I know the EV charger is fairly new for you guys in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, it's really interesting seeing that everyone's kind of doubling down on getting that ecosystem sorted and what have you. So let's spin the camera around and I'll show you what we've got with the G3 and maybe some of these other products here. Okay, so the camera has flipped now. So everyone watching on YouTube can see this, and you can see we've got the G3 over there and we've got the EV charger just on the right hand side there. So Andy, do you want to just tell us so the battery there, the G3, how many kilowatt hours is that? Is that the 3.6 model?
So this is a 3.6 kilowatt inverter, hybrid inverter, and it's got one 4 kilowatt hour battery integrated there, and we can add a maximum of 4 of those batteries to give us up to 16 kilowatt hours of storage on this system.
Okay. And so with this, did you say there's another inverter size, like a 5 kilowatt?
Yeah, there's a 5 kilowatt inverter as well, and we also have a 10.1 kilowatt hour battery. And we can scale that with up to six of those 10.1 kilowatt hour batteries.
And so the 5 kilowatt one, is that physically bigger as an inverter, or does that sit in the same footprint?
No, it covers the same footprint, so the inverter will look exactly the same. It's just got a different inverter inside.
Okay, that's really good. So this one here has just got one battery module, and how many did you say this one could go up to on this size battery module?
On this size battery module, we can use up to 4.
To 4, okay. And so they all just go in a stack, or do you have a separate stack to the right or left of it?
So we can stack them a maximum of 3 high, and then any additional batteries will go to the side.
Okay. Anyone watching on YouTube, I'll just have a little zoom in on that data plate, see if you can see it. down there. So you can obviously pause that if you want to see a little bit closer on what's happening there. Okay, that's really cool. So have you got a 10.1 module here that we can have a look at? Let's have a look at that just before we move on to the EV charger. So yeah, so wrong one. Here we go. 10.1. So this is the 10.1 module, and do you say there was, how many was it, 6 of these? Or
we can have a maximum of 6.
Of 6, and they work with the same inverter, the 3.6 or the 5 kilowatt single phase inverter.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is a floor-mounted battery because of the size of the battery and the weight of such amount of lithium iron phosphate. We need to mount it on the floor. We've got a nice wall bracket. The wall bracket connects the battery to the wall so it doesn't fall over, and the inverter just mounts to the top. So in terms of installation time, we've made it a lot quicker now.
Yeah. So to describe this for people just listening on Spotify or wherever you're listening to it, this battery module is about double the size, just short of double the size in dimension wise to the 4 kilowatt hour one we saw earlier. But it's such a good looking battery. And nowadays we see so many people that want the aesthetics to be there. So we've got a really nice, again to the audio listeners, a really nice sort of dark grey cover to the left hand side. And is that where all the electrics are stored behind that cover there, and then you've got the inverter on the right?
All of the cable connections are on that left hand side, and they're all covered by the covers, so everything fits seamlessly together.
And what's the IP rating of this? Because obviously we've seen batteries have kind of been advised to be fitted outside and things like that. Have we got IP ratings?
So all of the G3 range that we sell in the UK are IP65 rated.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So we can get that into external locations. And these are hybrid inverters, aren't they? So you get solar PV into this?
Yes,
200%?
200% PV, yep.
Yeah.
So we can get 10 kilowatts of PV on the 5 kilowatt inverter, and we can use all of that oversized PV as well. So we can charge the battery at 5 kilowatts, and we can discharge 5 kilowatts from the inverter as well.
And
so
does that change with the 3.6 as to what you can charge the battery with? Does that?
With the 3.6, we can again put 200% PV on there.
Right.
So we can put 7.36 kilowatts of PV, and we can charge the battery at 3.68, and we can discharge 3.68.
Okay, that's really good. Cool. So we've got that, and the 3-phase offering of this, is that the S6 or is that
the 3-phase we've got a G3 T10, which is being launched in sort of Q1 this year. It uses the same 4 kilowatt hour battery. And it have 3 MPPTs, and same again. We can put 20 kilowatts of PV on it.
Okay, cool. That's great. Right, let's have a little look at the EV charger then. So just for people watching, I'll just move. I'll give you that comparison. You can see over on the right hand side, we've got the 4 kilowatt hour. So I'll try and get my finger there. So we've got a 4 kilowatt hour there and 10 kilowatt hour battery there. So you can sort of see the difference there. But so with the EV charger then, Andy, how do you get these all on the same app? Do you have to interlink the charger to the battery, or is it all done over the internet?
Yeah, so the EV charger, there are just 2 connections on there. There's your power connection at the bottom on a nice plug that you can wire up away from the unit and then connect it afterwards. Yeah. And then there's a data cable between the car charger and the G3 unit. And then it uses the CT clamps and the Wi-Fi and the internet connection of the G3 inverter to add that car charger to the app.
So we have a power connection in, and then a comms connection to the G3. Was that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool. And as far as pen fault protection, is that built in or
integrated pen fault detection? And we've got a couple of RFID cards on there, so we can zap the card to start the charging. And there's a few different modes available on the app.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And what I noticed about this charger is, if I try and get a little bit more square on, is the design of it is designed to look exactly like the batteries. So we've got, for everyone not being able to see this, to the left of the unit we've got a grey strip on both the battery and on the EV charger. So that looks really, really good. And what version does this come in? Is this just untethered, or do you do a tethered?
It's coming untethered, but we're selling it with the cable provided with the system.
Okay, so basically, it's, as that is set up there, it's an untethered unit, but you're selling the cable along with it.
Yes, correct.
As a package.
And we've got an offer on at the moment with our large distributors, where if you buy 2 batteries, you get the car charger included for free.
Okay. So is that 2 battery modules, or is that 2 packs like you see there?
2 battery modules.
Okay, so you could have one system with 2 batteries, so 8 kilowatt hours in that sense, and you would get an EV charger for free on that.
Yes,
all right,
correct.
That's good. Okay, cool. And what I was going to say with that. Yeah, so that I think the aesthetics of that look really good. And as far as the app goes, I'm just scrolling up for anyone that's not able to see that. So this is the app for the Alpha. So I'm used to seeing this. But what do you kind of see on the home screen? Do you see the battery and the EV charger there, or what's the app look like?
Yeah, so you'll see a section on the app. There'll be an additional field on there for the EV charger. So when the car charger is not charging, it will just show a 0. When the car starts to charge, it will separate that load for the charger out from the load of the property.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, let's get that one as well. That's awesome. So yeah, lots of distributors do this. I know Waxman do it where we have an account, and yeah, I think it's a really good system to look at, definitely. But yeah, was there anything else you wanted to showcase, Andy?
Oh well, we run an installer accreditation scheme, so we provide free training for the installers. So if anyone is interested, get in touch with us and we can get you accredited so you can start installing the Alpha brand.
Awesome, that's great. Thanks very much, Andy, for that.
So I'm over at the Enphase stand and we're going to have a look through their range of equipment. I have got Martin here with me. How are you, Martin?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm repping for you in my nice Enphase hat that Tom has kindly just donated to me. But I can see all of the goodies on the wall behind me here, and this looks super interesting. We've installed a couple of your systems, but I can see some new things here. So if you want to run us through it.
Absolutely, right. So we'll start with the battery. I know you've seen this before. So this is a 5 kilowatt hour battery. In the UK, we offer this with 3.2 kilowatts of power, so we've deliberately sized that under 16 amps.
G98.
Exactly. Trying to do that G98, G99, so you can use the fast track scheme, and that's really important for us to make the DNO approvals as easy as possible for the installer, and that's been a critical issue for us. It's AC coupled, which is always really important, obviously with the microinverters, so we need that process for the installers to be slick and easy.
I mean, that helps us as well with the feed-in tariff days where consumers might have existing solar and they're wanting to tie batteries on.
Exactly, so you can use that in combination with some existing, what would have been G98 solar, have that in combo, and then that's an easy fast-track application.
Yeah, fantastic.
So today, we've been already installing this in the UK in a grid-tied situation. What we're going to be doing is adding what we call the system controller, so that's this box over here.
This is the nice new shiny box that caught my eye.
So this is a product we're going to be launching kind of middle of next year time frame. What this is, it's an automatic transfer switch. So that allows you, in combination with this same battery, you'd install this essentially directly off the meter tails, give you whole home backup. You're going to bring there's breakers in here which are located for the battery circuits, for the PV circuits, and then you come out of here into your consumer unit, and that will give you a whole home backup configuration in combination with exactly the same battery product as we already sell, and that allows you to use that in a grid agnostic or a backup situation with the same battery.
Fantastic. And does that kind of replace the traditional gateway that we might have used before?
Yeah, actually, if you look carefully, some buttons down here, if you don't get the microphone with my head, this is the gateway. You see the USB ports.
Oh,
so
yes,
you've got the gateway
yes.
in here.
Okay.
So this becomes a one-box solution.
I like
You've got
that.
your gateway. And one of the things that we've decided to do, given that it's backup, we're incorporating a cellular modem in every one. So even if you're in an off-grid mode and your router's gone off, we can still connect to this remotely. If you're having trouble with it, we can still provide service and support remotely onto the system. So it's really important for us that you can keep the system online even if you're in a power cut mode.
Yeah, that's a good point because
So every system with cell modem, we ship that with a 5-year prepaid package that you're buying when you buy the whole unit, and so that's an awesome offering to make sure that things stay online, not just with the power but with the connectivity as well.
yeah, it's such a good point, and that's something that lots of manufacturers miss. That you might have a local power cut to the house, but it could also be taking out other things to do with the broadband and such. So you've covered that off in the product. Love it.
So with this, we're planning on launching this kind of middle of next year time frame, and it's important that you could retrofit it to the existing grid-tied system. If you've already installed a couple of these batteries just in a grid-tied configuration, you could retrofit this. Obviously, you're going to insert it into the system immediately after the meter tails and convert that site from grid-tied to a backup capability.
That's really interesting. So we've had a few customers come to us for Enphase who would definitely be interested in that addition. So it's given us an angle there to upsell as installers as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's essentially an add-on then. Next bit we got here is the EV charger. We're launching this in November, December timeframe before the end of the year. Now, what's important with this is that it's a seamless addition to our platform. What we want to do is provide. A lot of customers are complaining now if they got the battery and they add another competitor's EV charger, they get problems with battery drain. They don't get the level of integration with the app and all of the things that customers want in terms of kind of the complete ecosystem. So with the Enphase EV charger, you're going to have a unit that is integrated with Enphase. When you install your Enphase system, you can install the EV charger at the same time. You provision the serial number into the system, and it's all part of the same setup. You're going to see all of the data on the EV charger embedded in the same app and all the same usability and functions. So that's just, obviously it can still work standalone, so you can install it just as a straight EV charger. You can install it together with the gateway and the CTs and work it with a string inverter, or obviously our preferred is going to be together with the full suite with the battery and the microinverters.
I mean, that's absolutely golden, because that is the big problem to us as installers. It's customers who have EV charging infrastructure and they're trying to add on solar PV and battery storage, and the two things never play nice. So the fact you've got that in the range, brilliant.
So, also interesting, maybe this version's the socketed one. The one we're going to be launching with Powervolt will be initially a tethered version, so you'll have a plug rather than a socket, but it looks very similar to this. Obviously we've got built-in Powervolt as well, so that's something that customers are looking for. And lastly, can't quite see it, but there's actually a display there. It's kind of hidden behind. That's because we've got an embedded MID meter in there. Okay. And we've got lots of customers who are asking for how they can use EV charging for company car schemes, do reporting on kilowatt hours delivered to their company EV. So with that, you'll be able to run a report through our monitoring platform, and you've got RFID there, so you can identify the vehicle. That then allows us to run, or the customer rather, to run reports and know what they've used each month in their company car, and separate it from your colleague's or wife's car with the RFID to identify that carefully. That's
a brilliant feature. I know from running electric vehicles in my company that is going to be golden.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really killer feature, actually. Fair play to you for including that.
So yeah, this will come before end of year. We're doing test installs kind of over the next few weeks, and then be launching it kind of probably end of November, around then.
Fantastic.
Last bit, which is another product which is coming next year, rather, not next week, is home energy management. So this is already launched and available in Germany. We're working in that environment already with the same product. What this is what we call our GivEnery router. We're an American company, so sometimes it's called a router. But what we're showing here is the heat pump integration. So what we want to be able to do is enable customers. We've got no ambition to sell heat pumps. It will always be a third-party device. So where a customer has what's called an SG-ready or a smart grid-ready heat pump, we've got a relay that provides that interface and can control the heat pump. We've got a metering device, so we know how much power the heat pump is consuming. And together with the GivEnery router, we can actually control that heat pump together with what the PV and the battery are delivering, and optimize the overall system and the overall energy consumption with a third-party heat pump at the customer site.
I mean, again, that's absolutely fantastic. We've got an install we're doing right now, which is trying to integrate a heat pump, and it's one of the new challenges that we're facing as installers for these whole home systems, where consumers want their EV charger, want the heat pump, the solar and batteries, all in this
and it's about
collective.
That complete solution.
I think we can see in what you're offering here that you've recognised that at Enphase. It's not so much about bigger, more powerful batteries and inverters anymore. It is about that whole house integration, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what we're trying to do is, we've got the PV, we've got the microinverters on the roof. Those have been around for a while, but they're still a core part of what we sell. Batteries, backup, smart batteries with connectivity, backup, integrated EV, and the option to add a heat pump in as well.
That's fantastic, and cheers for taking the time, Martin, to run us through that. I will drop a link in the description to the Enphase website if you want to go and dig into the data sheets. They'll all be in there. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Cheers.
Okay, so I've made my way over to the Powervolt stand, and I'm joined by Robin. So would you like to introduce yourself, Robin? What's your role at Powervolt?
Thanks, Sam. I'm CEO of Powervolt. I've been running the company for the last year.
Okay.
And really, really kind of you to join us on the stand.
Oh, so good.
And you're standing in front of our newest product.
Yeah, well, I'll flip the camera around in a minute, and
Okay.
We'll have a little look at all this, because we were just chatting about my knowledge of Powervolt. I remember when I was employed, we were saying about 10 years ago, that first model. The first model, where it was lead acid?
It was lead acid.
Lead acid, yeah.
The story is they went to Halfords and bought a lead acid
Really?
battery and rigged it up just to prove that it would work, and
Yeah.
then you could use the excess electricity off the roof.
It's amazing how these companies kind of develop, and the interesting thing about that is that obviously started from a real interest in both the engineering side, the energy saving side, and just like, can we get this thing to work? Like, can we can we get a battery storage system that could eventually go in people's houses? And now obviously we're all into lithium ion and all of that, but lead acid kind of was the only real option back then, wasn't it?
It was, and I think in many ways the industry's been shaped by that. And I
Yeah.
didn't tell you, and you probably haven't seen it, the Science Museum has a Powervolt in it.
Really?
We celebrated our 10th anniversary in the summer
Oh, right,
as the new Green Energy Revolution gallery was opening.
Right.
With a Powervolt in it, recognising
wow.
that sort of pioneering element.
Yeah, fantastic.
So I mean, it's interesting then being here in solar and storage. We were right at the beginnings, and it's now this vast industry.
Yeah,
just grown up around us.
You can see it just through the scale of this show now. I remember coming, I think my first show was like 5 years ago. Something. It was tiny. You had all the people that were doing it because they were passionate about the industry, and it's filled with people like that now. But it's just so interesting to see how much this industry expands and expands. And you see the same old faces, the same old brands. Yeah. All of us looking older. I remember being a very, very young apprentice, looking at all this stuff, thinking, "Wow, a free day at the show." It was really good. But I'll spin it round, and we'll have a little look at the Powervolt, and we'll have a little talk about its capacities and how it works. Okay, so we have got the camera flipped around. So we're looking at the Powervolt P5 plus Gateway here. So I'm going to hand over to Robin now to give us kind of the lowdown on this system. So over to you.
Thanks, Sam. This is a 10 kilowatt hour unit. You can buy a P5 from 5 up to 20. As you can see, it's a very modular design. The inverter at the top, our smart bridge here in the middle, and then the batteries at the bottom. Okay. We're made in Britain because the firmware is a joint development, and the smart bridge is entirely assembled in London in our factory in West Hendon.
Okay.
And that really is kind of what separates us out, and I'll come back to that in a minute.
Yeah.
We think about the battery in I suppose two ways. One being that it is really simple for installers to put in place, to install and commission, and then gives a peace of mind to customers when they've got it. And the peace of mind comes in two ways. One, from a safety element, in addition to the fact we monitor our whole fleet from our Hendon office. We also have some safety features inside. There's a fire suppression unit at the back. There's a volatile organic compound sniffer, just in case anything goes wrong that hasn't been picked up. So it's doubly safe. At the same time, the peace of mind is because of SmartStore, which is our algorithm that sits in here, which automatically optimizes the cycling of the battery. So it looks at the weather forecast for the next day, looks at the tariff that you're on, looks at the way you typically use energy and the patterns over a typical day, and will optimize the cycle. And so therefore we've proven that it will effectively double the impact of the battery over no cycling at all, and give an extra 40-50% over a standard cycle where you switch it on to charge when electricity is cheap, and then discharge early in the morning. And that's because it's really thinking about your use and what's going to happen in the weather the next day. So if it's going to be a really sunny day, it doesn't charge fully overnight because it knows you're going to get a big dose of free electricity in the morning. And then to the left we have the Gateway. And this is our new product. We're launching it now. It's available from the beginning of November. For those not familiar with the Gateway, it means you've got an emergency power supply in the event that you have a power cut. Either from a storm or because the grid fails.
Yeah.
One of the concerns we see more and more people have is around grid failure, particularly around peak load times on a quiet November evening where there's no wind, there's no solar, and there's a big demand in the grid, and there is a risk of brownouts, and certainly parts of the country have seen that in the past.
Yeah.
This enables you to have several hours of capacity. You can program it so that it's preloaded your battery over here if you want it to, and if there's a storm event, you can opt in and say, there's a red alert, I'm going to charge my battery up so I'm covered in case something goes horribly wrong. And it also allows you to charge directly from solar, even if you're off grid, which isn't always the case.
So with that Gateway then, Robin, is that like a whole home backup, or is it selected circuits, or how does that operate?
We would describe it as whole home.
Yeah.
But it depends what you're using in your home.
Yeah.
If you've got your heat pump and your induction cooker on, it will be whole home, but not for very long.
Yeah.
and I think one of the things we have in our app is a meter that shows at the rate of consumption how long will it last. So you can judge and you can decide, well, actually I'll turn a few things off and therefore I'll get longer life out of it.
Yeah, so you basically get a bit of a countdown as to, like, at your current rate you will last 2 hours or an hour.
Exactly. Well, it should be longer than that if you're...
Yeah.
if you're minding what you're doing.
So going back to the inverter and the battery modules, then what's the output of that Powervolt inverter? How much can we charge and discharge that?
6
system
kilowatts.
at? 6 kilowatt. Okay.
There's a 3.68 kilowatt, but we've seen a real shift in the market, and everyone is really looking towards 6 these days.
Yeah, I think with now that people are trying to transfer over to all electric through heat pumps and through the cooking and everything like that, it has shifted massively from that 3.6 kilowatt to get under the G98 side of things, now to actually not being scared of doing a G99 and give that homeowner the full ability to use like 6 kilowatts. Like most of the other ones around here that I've had a look at have been around the 5 kilowatt charge and discharge rate, so that's really interesting. And so with regards to the battery modules, this is a 10 kilowatt hour unit.
Correct.
So is that the maximum this one can go up to, or what can we go up to?
No, you can go up to 20.
Okay, so we've got another 2 units.
Another 2 units, so the stack obviously would be up here.
Okay.
You can get it in, this is obviously grey, you can get it in white as well if you prefer.
Okay, I think that's the other one just around the corner, isn't it?
Correct.
We'll have a little look at that in a minute. Okay, so just for the electricians watching this then, so as far as this gateway goes, we're kind of intersecting the meter tails to wire this, and then I'm assuming, is there like circuit protection within that gateway, or are we connecting it into the house distribution board?
Protection inside. We can open it up if you'd like.
Yeah, if you've got that.
Pause for a moment. Let me find the.
Okay, so we found the Allen key and we're inside the gateway now, and we're just going to we can see in this here. So we've got grid in and effectively load, so kind of back out again. So this is inside the gateway, and this will automatically transfer over onto the battery side of things.
So if your grid fails, it's about 100 milliseconds to switch over automatically.
Yeah.
If there's too much load, it won't switch on.
Right.
And it resets for a minute and try again.
Right.
So there's part of the training for customers is going to be to make sure that they're fully aware of the behaviour to expect.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're told about it when you buy it and then 3 years pass, you'll forget. Mm-hmm. So there'll be some notification and some paperwork to remind you when the moment comes that actually what you need to do.
Yeah.
But the point is really to make it easy for customers so they are in control.
Yeah. Or even this podcast here, Robin.
That would be perfect. For their record.
No, it's really good. It's good to see inside that and see what we've got there. So that's great. Right. We'll have a quick look at the white one, and then I just want to touch on the whole British side of things. Okay, so we've headed over to see the white version. So we've got the dark grey version there, and we've got the white version here, and this is exactly the same unit.
It's unlike the other one. This is a 15 kilowatt hour unit.
Oh yes,
so it's got an extra unit sitting on top, so you get a sense of how it scales up.
Yeah,
and it's really easy to install, of course. And one of the things we're seeing some customers do is buy small to start with, and they can then see through the app how they're using their electricity.
Yeah,
and they'll come back and buy another unit. And even though this has been in the market for 2 months, we've already had 3 customers upgrading already.
Yeah.
And of course that's natural, and I suspect with the gateway that will happen even more.
Yeah.
So people will end up keeping more storage just in case.
Yeah, that's right, especially with the backup side of things, like I say, and having that. So in the app, can you set some sort of retention for the backup side of things?
Yes.
Yeah. So I see that through my install business. Sometimes people get what they need for their usage and don't want to stretch to have another battery potentially for their backup side of things, and then they might have a power cut and go, actually, I'm going to really get another battery and keep that there because I had a power cut and I used all the energy in my battery. I want an extra module just for that added protection.
We don't know how people will use it, of course, but I'm really curious to see what sort of behaviour we see of how risk averse some people are.
Yeah.
And how the different customer groups evolve. Yeah. Because ultimately, if you're too conservative, you're wasting capacity. And you're reducing the return you're going to get on your investment. But you're trading off a different kind of peace of mind.
Yeah,
I'm very curious to see what
the difficult balance there, isn't there, between investment and payback, and that's a tricky one to quantify nowadays. One thing I've just noticed on the key features there, and I hope I don't put you on the spot, but the PAS compliance side of things, is that something? What is that, the fire side of things or the alarming side of things that you've got into this battery now?
Both, and also location.
Yeah.
So we recommend it's installed either outside or in a garage typically.
Yeah.
Some people have got enough space indoors to put it in a place that isn't going to be obstructing any exit. But it's really around the safety. And PAS also expect a fire alarm just in case.
Yeah.
We've gone a couple of steps further than they're suggesting at the moment is needed, with
Right.
the potassium nitrate fire suppression and the VOC sniffer. But knowing that a lot of our customers are in homes that they really care about, we want to make sure they got sort of belt and brace cover for that concern.
This, I've walked around all the products here. This is the only product that has mentioned the PAS document or the PAS 63100 that came out, which us as an installations company, we're following that as much as we can. But one issue we've had is that we're fitting kit that doesn't help us comply with that, and that's a real tricky one to get right, because we're kind of doing everything, upgrading smoke alarms and everything else in the house to try and get that as close to that PAS compliance as we can. But then we're also fitting a product that doesn't have all the things that you've just mentioned. So yeah, that's a really interesting one, and the only one that I've seen here today at Solar Storage that actually physically wears that as a badge of honour. The other badge that we've got here is the Made in Britain badge. Yeah. And you mentioned that the Smart Store part of this is made in your factory over here, and then it'll all be kind of assembled over here and what have you, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So the smart bridge here with the LED in it is British assembled. Everything's made in the UK. Some of the components will come from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
The batteries in the inverter come from East Asia.
Yeah.
Where to our design, and I would say the firmware has been co-developed by us with our supplier. We've been able to incorporate the features that we know are important to make sure you have a safe battery, so it doesn't drain out. So it behaves in certain ways under unusual edge cases that, when you've been running batteries for a long time, you find out about through bitter experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so all of that extra safety and know-how has sort of been built into that, and I think that makes a big difference, and that's why we sort of kept the Made in Britain badge.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that's and this is a single phase unit. This
single phase unit.
Yeah.
We've installed sort of several installations as 3 phases, but with 3 inverters.
Yeah. So three stacks.
Over time, we need to have a 3-phase inverter for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks very much for that, Robin. That's really good insight into Powervolt, and that's been a really good one, especially with the whole PAS thing and the Made in Britain thing. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Sam.
So, I'm just walking around now. I'm going to chat to a couple of other people, but it's the terror that some people feel coming onto the camera, and the equipment that they are obviously here selling and know inside out. It's interesting to see their brains kind of explode when they have to talk to the camera about it. But also, some people are terrified and then absolutely nail it. So it's really interesting doing these interviews and having a little look around here. But I'm going to head to another place now, and we're going to interview them. But this place is massive. If you haven't been to Solar Storage Live before, then you don't necessarily know the scale that it is at now compared to when I started going 5 years ago. It is absolutely huge now. It's doubled in size, and it's almost too big to get around in. Well, it is too big to get around in one day. So if you are thinking of coming here next year, then definitely try and get the full 3 days, because when you start talking to people, when you start getting into the conversations and learning a lot at these shows, you definitely need a good amount of time here. So yeah, let's jump into another interview now and see what they have to say. Okay, so I've made my way over to the Sigenergy stand, and I'm joined by
Luis.
And what's your role?
I'm Products and Solutions Director for Sigenergy in the UK and Ireland.
Great. Okay. So you're in charge of all the products that are brought into UK and Ireland.
Making sure we have the right product for this market, for the UK and Ireland. Yeah.
So many people have spoken to me about this system,
Yeah.
and I've not been lucky enough to win a job yet with one priced in yet. But I'm really looking forward to doing our first one, because there's been a lot of hype about this product in the UK, and it's really interesting to see, because it's not often that a new brand or a new company can kind of break into an installer's kind of field of vision, because people are very tribal with what they fit. They've always fitted Tesla Powerwall, they've always fitted Solar Edge, or all these other systems, and it must be quite difficult to try and break into that and try and get your product in front of customers.
It definitely was. When we started in the UK market, myself and my colleague Ivan, it was very difficult to penetrate, because exactly the reason what you just said.
Yeah.
It's a new brand. in an industry that have a lot of players, and some installer has been burned before with some solutions. So yeah, it's difficult to gain the trust, but the company have a clear vision. We are bringing something new, something really innovation to an industry that needed. That hasn't seen really something new for the last 3 or 4 years. And I think that has been the key. Customer installers, they see that there is actually something different here. They're curious, they want to know more. And then it was like a little bit of a snowball effect. We actually started last year in this very setup in solar and storage. Nobody knew us, and I think the turnout at our stand this year is testament of what we have achieved only in just the last 8 months.
No, it's really good to hear, because the solar and storage show is a really good show for finding that little gem of when I've been coming to this show for kind of 5 years or so now, and it's one of those things where sometimes it's that one person you meet or that one brand that you get a little bit more information from that can end up setting you as sort of an installations company on a completely different path to installing something different. And that's why it's worth trying to speak to as many different stands here when installers come. Try and speak to as many different people as possible. Don't just go to the companies that you're always installing. Just try and have those conversations with people like you guys or other brands, just to see if they're offering something a little bit different. I know Mark is obviously a big advocate for you guys as well. He's constantly talking to me about you guys, and he said that that you guys are just thinking about the UK market and the equipment on offer in a different way to everybody else. Like the outputs, which we'll go into, but the outputs, the EV charger that's on the battery, the commercial offering, everything like that. So yeah, I'll spin the camera around so you're not just looking at us if you are watching this on YouTube, but if you are listening to it, I'll try my best and we'll try and explain as much as possible so that you can kind of build that vision up in your mind. But if you are listening to this, just head over to YouTube and watch it as well, and you'll be able to see everything that we're talking about on this video. So yeah, we'll spin the camera around now and we'll have a little look at this product behind us. Okay, so we've spun the camera around now for everyone watching. You'll be able to see that, but everyone listening, we're going to have a little look at this great looking unit, to be fair. And yeah, Lucy's going to take us through the features of this. This is a single phase one, is it? This one?
Yeah,
this domestic one?
It could be single phase or 3-phase. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference, because the only difference will be the energy controller at the top, which we have 2 versions, single phase or 3-phase.
Right.
But both are identical on size.
Okay, so basically you wouldn't see any difference in the actual dimensions of that product. It was just that
this could be very well single phase or 3-phase.
Okay, right, that's interesting. Okay, so and then we've got obviously a big stack of batteries here. So what have we got there?
Yes, so under the energy controller you could stack up to 6 battery packs. We have 2 sizes, 5 kWh and 8 kWh. You can have all of those 6 battery packs being 8 kWh. 6 5 kWh, or any combination of 5 and 8. You can mix in any way.
Oh, so you can mix and match the battery modules. Yeah. Okay, so if you wanted to hit a specific storage capacity,
exactly,
you could mix those together. And are they different in dimensions, or do they look identical?
No, the dimensions. This could very well be any combination of 5 and 8.
Wow. Okay.
The weight obviously will be different.
Yeah.
And also very important is that you could also retrofit at any point in time storage. A typical case, you will start with 10 kWh of storage. That's kind of the average in a residential house. And then a year down the line, if the client wants more storage, they can just retrofit a battery package. That's it. There is no need to synchronize or balance any of the battery packs. Everything is done automatically. Mainly because every battery pack has its own dedicated optimizer. So this is what actually allows us to work at different state of charge between battery packs. The reason we can mix 5 and 8. And also they are connected in parallel to the energy controller. So in the event of one battery pack failing, it's only that battery pack that disconnects from the bus. The unit continues working as normal.
Yeah, so that's different to other brands because a lot of other brands do offer different size modules, but it's basically as soon as you've picked one of those modules, that is it. You have to use that module. But you're saying because they're connected in parallel and they've got the optimizers on each module, you not only can mix and match them, but if one fails, it can bypass that.
It's technically it doesn't bypass, but it's just disconnect from the box because you
I'm
know
with you.
they are not connected in series.
Yeah.
But yeah, the message is not affected really.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. And so as far as the energy controller or the inverter at the top, what sort of size does that come in single phase?
So we have a single phase from 3 to 12 kilowatts.
12,
and,
wow.
And 3 phase from 5 to 25. Yes, we recently launched 8, 10 and 12 single phase. Okay. They have been very, very popular. I think this is also something that the market was waiting for.
Yeah.
You don't need to use a hybrid next to a string inverter just because you don't have enough inputs or enough inputs to do several elevations. So
is this system, is this a hybrid inverter here, or is this a kind of an AC coupled system here?
Yeah, this is actually both.
Okay.
Again, we're adding flexibility in all aspects. This could be used as an AC coupled battery or as an DC coupled system. So connecting PV's power to the energy controller, it will be optional.
Right, so that's already there though.
So you could retrofit our system to an existing solar PV system and just use it as an AC coupled battery charging on the excess of the existing PV.
Yeah, that is there's so many features there. Now, stuff I've not seen any of the brands doing. So that's a really interesting kind of take on the system and a good rundown. So the maximum storage capacity on this unit is that what this is?
Yes.
Here? Is this the maximum?
Yeah, the maximum will look like this per unit. Yeah. This will be let's say 8 kilowatt hours, 48 kilowatt hours of storage.
Right.
But now you can, if you need more for commercial projects, I guess, you could add more Sigen stores in parallel.
Right.
And then add more capacity. Just to give you an idea how scalable the solution is, one of our largest projects in Europe at the moment is in Spain. It's a 1 megawatt system with 2 megawatt hours of storage capacity. So it will be 40 of these units connected in parallel. All of them, in harmony, discharging.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So yeah, the same technology or the same skills that you need for a residential system, you can apply to a commercial system.
Yeah. Okay. And I know with this system, Mark's been telling me that there is a gateway, so to provide backup power.
Yes. So
that's
maybe
behind.
We can just
have a look there.
Can I have? Sorry. So yeah, this is our gateway. It will be our solution or an accessory if the system needs off-grid capabilities or backup capabilities.
Yeah.
You will need a gateway. In this case, we have the 3-phase gateway, but we also have a single-phase version, which is the same dimensions. The only difference will be that you, of course, have single-phase protection, 12 volt. So in this case, what you can see here is we have 2 inputs for 2 different inverter systems.
Oh yeah.
So those 2 Sigen stores can be on any capacity of power storage. Mm-hmm. Then you have your breaker for the mains. Here you will connect the load.
Yeah.
So for the case of the UK, for example, you can connect a whole house here. The single phase backup, the single phase gateway, we also have the capability for a whole house.
Okay.
SPD protection, your breaker for the grid. So essentially in the event of a power cut, this will trip and there will be a switch over that will be almost instant in around 0 milliseconds, meaning that your loads will not feel the transition.
Yeah.
Lights shouldn't flicker, internet, you will not lose connection to the internet.
Okay, so I'll just take for people that are listening. What we've got in here, we've got a box here where we will be taking our incoming tails into it, into our grid breaker. So
yes.
from the mains into our grid breaker, and then out of our backup breaker in here to back to our house, back into our main distribution board. But then inside here as well, for everyone listening, we've got the breakers for the inverters, so effectively the battery storage system. Yeah. We've got a surge protection. This one on the video now is a 3-phase, but there is a single-phase version of this as well.
There is one more element to the gateway, which will be the smart port. This is an additional port that you can use for several things, like one of the uses is to connect a generator, a diesel generator, for additional
Okay.
backup in the event of the system working off grid and the batteries reaching a preset level that the
Right.
user set, let's say 10%, then the generator will kick in.
So that's got like an auto start for
Yes,
the generator.
Yeah,
to
you will
kick in.
set when the generator wants to kick in and under which conditions. You could also use it to, for example, split the circuits between critical and non-critical. In the events
Right.
of backup, perhaps there are some circuits that you really don't want on to save storage, so you could have the non-critical circuits in the smart port,
I'm with you.
and
Yeah.
then just switch them on demand.
Okay. Yeah.
We are also looking into upgrades to have an interface for an immersion heater where you will be able to send power,
Yeah.
excess power or power on demand to it doesn't have to be an immersion heater, any load that you basically want to
Yeah.
control in a smart way. We will do it through the smart port. We are doing a lot of upgrades with this. Also, our new generation of Gateway will have more surprises like
Yeah.
this, so it will be a smarter equipment.
Okay, that is awesome. Genuinely, that sounds absolutely awesome. So this 3-phase version here, what's the total load that this can withstand in the event of a power cut then? So is this rated to like 100 amps?
It
Or?
would be 50, a little bit over 50 kilowatts. It is designed taking into account that our maximum energy controller 3-phase
Yeah.
is 25, so you can connect to 2, so you should be able to use that at maximum capacity.
Right.
So you can, import or export, so
Yeah.
to up to 50 kilowatts.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And the single phase one?
The
Is that-
single phase should be around a little bit over 20 kilowatts
Okay.
because of, again,
Got two
the
10s.
3.6 basically.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
But we're looking into a larger version now as well.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Cool. And this is effectively like a weatherproof enclosure. So this
well,
can be. Or what's
the
the
gateway itself different from the Science Store. The Science Store is IP66, but the gateway is IP54.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So just
So-
need to
so-
keep an eye on that
so
IP
yeah.
rating on that. Yeah.
Maybe not under the rain.
Yeah. Yeah. Not right where it's going to get hit.
Different from the Science Store, yes, you can feel pretty confident to install it outside. And
Yeah.
on top of that is not only that you can install it outside, but every battery pack has a dedicated heating pad inside them.
Yeah.
So we will do heating control of the battery cells at the pack level. So if the temperatures are dropping significantly, then the heating pad will start
Right,
heating
okay.
the cells inside to avoid the rating on the discharge
Right.
and charge rate. We also have an option to start preheating. The user can start preheating the battery if they know temperature is going to drop. That can also be done. Ideally, what you want is to maintain that charge and discharge rate because, as you know, low temperatures and the state of charge is the main parameters that affect discharge rate. This is not our cells. Every cell will be affected by this, so I think we have managed to overcome that issue with adding the heating pads.
Yeah. Wow, that is. There's just so much involved with this system that I know that other systems that I'm not even thinking about, like just the single phase capacity of that engine controller going all the way. Was it 12? Was it 12 kilowatt the maximum on the single phase?
For single phase, yes, from 3 to 12 kilowatts.
And then just be able to parallel. And is there a limit on how many of the units you can parallel up? Obviously, forgetting
No.
about the DNO side.
In
but
principle, no, I would say, you can confident install 20, 30 units in parallel.
Wow.
For larger projects, we can discuss a solution if we need an additional level of control. But in any case, now, if the project is going to get too large, I gave you the example of Spain, we have 40 units connected there. We are now launching our largest commercial solution. So
yeah,
if
well,
you
we can have a look at that?
Yeah,
I'd love
of
to
course,
that one.
Of course.
Okay, so we've just headed over to this unit just here because there's some interesting stuff that Sig are doing with the EV charging side of this. So we can actually see there's an EV charging port there. So anyone that's not watching this, we've basically got one of the Sig units sat there. There's a module that looks a little bit like a battery module, but there's a EV charging cable coming out of it into a holster here. And so Lewis is going to go through what happens here.
Yes. So what we have here is exactly the unit we were just discussing before, but with less battery packs. But there is another component. There is an additional or an optional module, which is our EVDC charger. You could stack EVDC charger as well in the unit that we previously discussed. So it is perhaps one of the biggest pieces of innovation in the company at the moment, because you cannot see this solution anywhere else. It's a fast EVDC charger. This is a first in the industry. Nobody else has this in the context of PV plus storage. So we have two capacities, 12.5 and 25 kilowatt, and those two capacities can come into versions with a 5 meter or 7.5 meter cable.
Okay.
Now the idea is to capture DC PV power directly from the PV modules and using it to charge the vehicle. You can also do that with the batteries, or in the event of not having PV, like at night and batteries not being depleted, the charger can also pull from the grid through the energy controller.
Right.
So the basic function will be PV power will be prioritized. If there is no any PV power, we take from the batteries, and as a last resource, we take from the grid. There are a couple of advantages using a DC charger compared to your typical 7 kilowatt single phase AC charger. You have more capacity. That means faster charging, and also it's more efficient because you are avoiding those steps of DC to AC conversion and AC to DC conversion.
Yeah.
So now you can have DC power directly into your vehicle.
Yeah. Okay. So just to confirm then, so the cable coming from the SIG system,
Yes.
it was either 5 or 7.5.
5 and 7.5 meters.
Yeah.
So you will spec that with your
Yeah.
distributor basically.
So we just need to, when we're considering, if a customer wants this sort of system where the charger is built into this, we need to be considering where we're
Yes.
fitting this battery to give ourselves the distance on that
Yes,
cable
that's-
to do that.
That's very important. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so with that, because obviously if we could just pick up the connector there,
Yes.
so we can just show everybody the connector.
This is
these are
Type
the ones you
2
see at
CCS.
service stations. Yeah. Okay. So this is what we see at service stations and things like that, where we're getting a direct DC input into the vehicle. And so is that available on the single and the three-phase system?
Yes, because this is the magic again of the flexibility. It's a DC equipment, so it's irrelevant
Yeah.
if you have a single phase or a three-phase energy controller.
Wow, that is that is awesome. I've said wow, this is awesome about 5 times now. But yeah, that's really interesting to see that. And there was something that your colleague mentioned yesterday about some sort of AI-backed support or something, is it?
Yes, well, we are doing several things with AI in the company. I would say the first thing, we have integrated an AI assistant in the app.
Right.
So the idea is that both the homeowner and the installer have, it's an assistant that will help you navigate through the app. You can ask questions about the installation, alarms, but also you can ask questions specifically about your system, like what's my state of charge, how much energy have I produced today. So it's been quite successful. I mean, the feedback has been good. It obviously, perhaps it wasn't like this a year ago, but like anything with AI based, it learns with time, so it will get, smarter. So we are very happy with the performance at the moment. Another use of AI will be through safety on the battery packs. Every single battery pack has a built-in fire extinguisher that will trigger automatically if dangerous temperatures happen to be inside the battery pack. Now, that will be a last resource. The main layer of defense will be information that we collect in real time through sensors that we add on a pack level, which will give you enough information for us to predict if there could be a potential fault in the battery pack.
Right.
This is also AI powered because it's hundreds of iterations that the system needs to do.
Yeah.
A lot of conditions needs to consider. So we disconnect the battery if we consider that a potential dangerous situation could happen. So we don't need to wait for the fire extinguisher trigger, let's say, to understand that that battery.
Yeah, so it's the last line of defence to
Exactly.
something bad happening. There's a built-in fire suppression system in there, but it's got the sort of things that will happen before that. It's just if everything starts going wrong, then there's a fire suppression system in there as well. That's awesome. Shall we have a little look at that other unit? This is the 3-phase unit. This is a big boy. There's this one. So what have we got? So we've got a separate inverter just behind you, Luis, and then we've got the battery stack here. Is that right?
Yes, correct. So this is a new addition to the family. It is what is going to bring you one step closer to larger projects in the commercial spectrum. It's also opening the doors to standalone PV projects, because this inverter here, we will have two versions, a pure PV, but also a hybrid version, both with the exact same technical specifications. The only difference will be that the hybrid will have the interface to connect a battery storage. Okay. We have different sizes. We will have 50, 60, 100, and 110 kilowatt, being 110 kilowatt the larger, and then with a maximum output of 121 kVA. So for the battery ready, the hybrid inverter, you will be able to use our Sigen stack for storage. You don't need to install it at the beginning. You can have a site installed and then retrofit the batteries at any point in time. These are our new battery packs for this solution. They are 10.75 kilowatt hours of usable storage. And you can stack up to 21 in one string. So minimum you will need 4, maximum you will have 7 per stack, and then you can have 3 stacks. This should give you around 240 kilowatt hours of storage per every inverter, behind every inverter. So yeah, again, we wanted to bring something new to the industry. There is no a modular solution that they give you this kind of flexibility and power. Normally the the solution that you have in commercial, they are either large cabinet or containerized solutions, will require high cranes to move around, concrete foundations. It could be disruptive for perhaps the operation of the commercial client. Our solution is a lot easier to install. The footprint is smaller, it's less disruptive, and easier to install. So we are very happy with this. We will have this available in the UK in January. In December, by the end of the year. But in Europe is on its way. So several countries in Europe are already going to start using this solution.
Wow, that is so you can have multiple stacks of these battery modules going into that one inverter, and that's So I know for me on my installations business, on some of the bigger systems, there is a real difficulty of an easily scalable commercial level system. You're either buying a container with hundreds of batteries in, or you're fitting something that's like a domestic 3-phase battery, and you're trying to get that to sort of fit with a commercial property. And I think there's a real opening for a system like this, where you've got something that, as an installer that maybe does more domestic, it's not too threatening. Because when you're looking at a container with a load of batteries in it, it can be a little bit intimidating, and it can actually mean that there's, you need a lot more space on that site for this equipment to go. Whereas this system, it's a stack that, if you're used to fitting some of these other domestic single phase stuff, this doesn't look much different. It's a little bit deeper than the other ones, but and it'll be floor mounted, I assume, with how heavy it is. That's really good. And obviously this can be. Could you fit this as if a customer had a 3-phase 50 kilowatt solar PV system? Can you AC couple this system, or does it have to be DC?
Yeah, you can AC couple it.
You can AC couple it as well. Great, awesome, that's great. I think we've covered a lot there, Luis. Thank you very much for your time on that. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
So I think I have to leave it there now, because my voice is starting to go, but equally we are pretty much out of time at the show. It's been an unbelievably busy show. There's so much here. I wish we could have another 3 days, because there's like half of this that I've not been able to get round. Obviously I've been working on the Doncaster cable stand, for anyone watching, you'll be able to see. I'm all branded up as Doncaster Cables. So I have spent a lot of time on the stand, which has been busy in itself. But yeah, there's so much to see here. It's double the size of last year. It's one of the best shows, if not the best show, to come to for solar and battery side of things. Every man and the dog's here, and yeah, it's been an awesome show. But thank you very much for watching and also listening to the Renewables podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.